You see, sometimes in life we find ourselves asking the question, why am I going through this? The struggle feels endless, the pain seems pointless, and we wonder if the effort is even worth it. But I came to tell you today, your fight has meaning. That storm you're in, that weight you're carrying, that mountain you're climbing, it's not just chaos or bad luck. It's not punishment. It's preparation. You're being shaped, molded, refined. And while it might feel like everything is falling apart, in truth, something deeper is being built within you, something unshakable. Now, I know it's easy to feel overwhelmed, to believe the pain is meaningless when you're in the thick of it. But purpose doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes purpose is quiet. Sometimes it whispers in the middle of the night when you feel like giving up, but you decide to try again tomorrow. Sometimes it shows up in your tears when you're fighting battles no one sees, and you keep showing up anyway. You may not realize it right now, but every single step you take in the fight is laying down the bricks for a stronger, wiser, more grounded version of you. See, we live in a world that loves results. It loves the glow up, the trophy, the win. But what the world doesn't always see is the grind behind the glory. It doesn't see the lonely nights, the self-doubt, the moments where quitting seemed like the easier road. But I want to encourage you not just to endure your struggle, but to embrace the process. Because this fight is building you. You've got to understand that diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is refined by fire. Strong trees grow deep roots in stormy winds. And you are no different. Don't think that because you're struggling, you're failing. No, sometimes struggling means you're still in the game. It means you're still trying. It means you're still fighting. And that matters. That's meaningful. And I know how it feels to keep pouring your heart into something that doesn't seem to be moving. I know what it's like to give everything you've got and still come up short. But you've got to remember, your fight isn't just about results. It's about revelation. It's about revealing who you really are. When the masks come off and the pressure rises, that's when you meet your truest self. That's when you learn what you're really made of. People love to quote the victories, but they often skip over the valleys. They forget to mention the days when the champion didn't feel like a winner. But I'll tell you the truth, it's not the victory that defines you, it's the fight. It's the moments when you felt forgotten, but chose faith over fear. It's the days you had every reason to quit, but chose to believe one more time. That's where your power is. That's where your meaning is. Don't underestimate what your struggle is doing in you, because while you're busy trying to survive, God might be using the fire to burst something eternal inside of you. You might be focused on what you're losing, but heaven is focused on what you're gaining. Maybe you're learning perseverance. Maybe you're discovering your voice. Maybe you're gaining empathy for others who suffer in silence. Whatever it is, trust that none of it is wasted. And while others may look at your situation and see brokenness, I see breakthrough. While they see delay, I see development. You might be in the dark right now. But even seeds grow underground before they ever break through the surface. That's what you are. A seed. Planted, not buried. And in due season, what's been growing in secret will burst forth in strength. There's a weight to your journey that others can't carry because it wasn't assigned to them. That's why it's your fight. It's your testimony in the making. And I promise you, if you stay in the fight, if you refuse to bow to defeat, you'll look back one day and realize it all had a purpose. The sleepless nights, the tears, the fear, the uncertainty, it will all make sense. Not because the pain wasn't real, but because what it produced in you is eternal. So don't curse your crisis. Don't abandon the process. Stand in the fire with faith. Walk through the storm with resolve. Your fight is not in vain. It is the very evidence that you are being trusted with something greater. Every scar tells a story, and every story holds power. Keep swinging, keep pressing, keep believing. Your fight has meaning. Belief. Now that's a word we throw around a lot, but do we really understand its power? I'm not talking about casual belief. I'm not talking about the kind of belief that shows up when things are going well and disappears the moment trouble knocks on the door. I'm talking about the kind of belief that anchors you when life is trying to blow you away. The kind of belief that keeps you standing when everything around you is shaking. The kind of belief that is not based on what you see, but what you know deep in your spirit. That's the belief I'm talking about. That's the belief you got to stand firm in, because the truth is life will test what you believe. It's easy to say you have faith until you stand in front of a closed door with no key, until you're staring at a diagnosis you didn't see coming, until the people you counted on walk away and the dreams you've held on to start to feel like burdens. That's when belief becomes more than a word. That's when it becomes your lifeline. You see, when belief is strong, circumstances don't have the final word. Doubt might whisper, fear might shout, but belief stands tall in the middle of the noise and says, I'm still here. I still believe. It's belief that keeps you waking up and showing up even when everything in you wants to lay down and give up. It's belief that pushes you to speak life over your situation even when it looks dead. It's belief that makes you sow in famine, trust in drought, and love when you've been betrayed. And belief, real belief, isn't about ignoring reality. It's not pretending everything is fine when it's falling apart. No, real belief looks at the mountain and still says move. It looks at the mess and still says there's a miracle coming. It doesn't deny the problem. It just refuses to let the problem define the outcome. Now, let me tell you something you might not want to hear, but you need to hear. Your belief will be tested, not because God wants to see you suffer, but because he wants you to see what's inside of you. You don't really know how strong your belief is until you've had to believe in the dark. Until you've had to believe when you didn't have the answer, until you've had to believe when the odds were stacked against you. That's when belief becomes real. That's when it moves from your mouth to your spirit. And the enemy is after your belief. Not your car, not your job, not your bank account. He's after your belief because he knows that if he can shake what you believe, he can shake who you are. He knows that if he can convince you to stop believing, then he doesn't have to stop you. You'll stop yourself. But I came to tell you, don't you let go of what you believe. I don't care how bad it looks. I don't care who left. I don't care what the report says. Hold on to your belief like your life depends on it, because it does. You've got to believe when nobody else does. You've got to believe when they laugh at you. You've got to believe when you're the only one in the room with a vision. You've got to believe when the numbers don't add up. Because belief isn't about what makes sense. It's about what makes faith. And sometimes faith will make you look foolish before it makes you victorious. You've got to understand, belief isn't a feeling. Feelings change. Belief is a decision, a posture, a stance, a fire in your soul that says, I know who I am. I know what I'm called to do. I know what I'm trusting God for, and I will not move. That's why the enemy keeps hitting you, because you won't move. You won't quit. You won't back down. And that kind of belief terrifies him. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't have to have all the answers. You just have to believe, even if it's messy, even if it's shaky, even if your knees are trembling and your voice is cracking, believe anyway. Because the power isn't in how strong you feel, it's in how firm you stand. And when you stand firm in belief, all of heaven stands with you. Sometimes you'll have to believe when there's no evidence. Sometimes you'll have to believe when the only thing you've got is a word and a whisper. But that's enough. Because belief is what turns a whisper into a roar. It's what turns a waiting room into a birthing. It's what turns pressure into purpose. So stand firm. Don't waver. Don't shrink back. Let them say what they want. Let the storm rage. Let the odds rise. You are not standing alone. You are standing in belief, and belief is where miracles begin. Don't you dare let go of what you believe. You might not realize it, but somebody is watching you right now. They're watching how you carry yourself through the storm. They're watching how you handle pressure, how you deal with disappointment, how you keep showing up when you have every reason to give up. You think you're fighting this battle by yourself, but I came to remind you, you're not alone. Your fight is bigger than you. Somebody else is drawing strength from the way you keep going. See, the enemy wants you to believe that your struggle is isolated, that it's just your little storm, your little valley, and nobody cares and nobody sees. But let me tell you, your life is preaching a sermon. Your perseverance is preaching louder than any words ever could. You don't have to stand behind a pulpit to be a voice. Your pain, your process, your persistence, they're speaking to people who don't even have the courage to fight yet. And your fight is giving them hope. There's a young person watching you walk with integrity when compromise would be easier. There's a mother watching you hold on to faith through grief. There's a father watching you build again after loss. There's someone who's been thinking about quitting, but then they look at you, still standing, still trying, still believing, and something in them shifts. Something in them whispers, if they can make it, maybe I can too. You don't even know the impact you're having because it's not always visible. People don't always tell you that you've inspired them. They might not comment, might not like, might not send a message, but in silence, they're watching. And in watching, they're being changed. You are permission to keep trying, to keep going, to keep believing. You're living proof that broken doesn't mean defeated, and wounded doesn't mean worthless. And that's why the fight is worth it, not just for what it will do in your life, but for what it will unlock in someone else's. Your fight is not just about your future. It's about the legacy you're building, the light you're shining, and the faith you're sparking in others. The way you rise after a fall becomes the blueprint for someone else's comeback. The way you keep worshiping in the waiting becomes the soundtrack of hope for someone else's delay. I know it gets heavy. I know sometimes you want to throw in the towel and walk away. But before you do, think about the people who need you to keep going. Think about the ones who haven't found their voice yet. Think about the ones who are borrowing strength from your story. They may never tell you, but they're there, watching, learning, believing. Because of you, you have no idea who's getting free because you didn't fold. You have no idea who's finding courage because you didn't run. Sometimes we think our victory has to be big and public and loud to make a difference. But no, sometimes the quiet moments carry the most weight. Sometimes the private battles you win in secret are the very thing holding someone else together. And that's why you got to keep going, even when it feels like nobody sees, 'cause heaven sees, purpose sees, destiny sees, and there's a ripple effect tied to your fight. You're not just surviving for yourself, you're surviving for your bloodline, your community, your calling. Every time you choose to stand instead of sink, something shifts in the atmosphere. Every time you decide to forgive instead of hate, to hope instead of despair, to keep pressing when quitting would be easier, you are sending a message to the world. I will not let this break me. Do you know how powerful that is? You don't have to be perfect to be impactful. You just have to be real. You just have to be consistent. You just have to show up. Because when people see you navigating pain with grace, when they see you staying faithful when it doesn't make sense, they realize that victory isn't about having it all together. It's about holding on when everything is trying to pull you apart. You are more influential than you think. You are a living testimony. Every scar, every tear, every prayer you prayed in the dark is doing something greater than you can see. You are leading someone through a storm you've never even heard them talk about. You are the example they never had. You are the evidence that there is still strength in struggle, that belief still works, that perseverance still matters. So don't think your fight is in vain. Don't think your silence means it's unseen. Don't think your pain is without purpose. You're not just fighting for your next breakthrough. You're fighting for someone else's breakthrough too. You're carrying more than you know, but you've also been given the grace to carry it. God didn't bring you this far to drop you now. He's using you. He's speaking through you, and the world is listening, even in the silence. Your fight is lighting someone else's path. Let me tell you something that every warrior needs to hear. Victory doesn't belong to the strongest. It doesn't belong to the fastest. It doesn't belong to the most talented or the most connected. Victory belongs to the ones who don't quit. That's it. The ones who keep showing up. The ones who keep pushing, keep believing, keep standing, even when everything in them is tired and everything around them says it's over. If you've got the will to keep going, you've got the key to winning. Because the truth is, the difference between those who make it and those who don't isn't always ability, it's endurance. It's not that they never felt like giving up. Oh, they felt it. It's not that they didn't face rejection or disappointment. They did. They just made a decision not to stop. And that's what I'm challenging you to do today. Make up your mind that quitting is not an option. Not because you don't feel pain, but because you know your purpose is greater than your pain. I know some of you are tired. I know you've been fighting for a long time. I know you've prayed prayers that haven't been answered yet. I know you've cried in silence, shown up in public, and wondered if any of it even matters. But let me assure you, it does. The fight is working something in you. It's producing something you can't even fully see yet, but you will. And when you do, you'll realize why quitting was never an option. See, we think success is instant, but it's not. We live in a world of microwave miracles and highlight reels. But real victory doesn't come overnight. It comes from choosing to move forward one hard step at a time, from refusing to let a bad chapter stop you from finishing your story. That's what greatness is. It's not just about what you achieve, it's about what you endure to get there. You've got to stop measuring your future by your frustration. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Just because you haven't seen the fruit doesn't mean the seed didn't take root. Some things take time to grow, and battles take time to win. But if you stay in the fight, if you stay faithful, you will see the reward. You will see the breakthrough. You will see the promise. The enemy wants to wear you down. He wants to convince you that you're wasting your time, that your prayers don't matter, that your effort doesn't count. But that's a lie. Every tear you've cried, every sacrifice you've made, every time you've chosen faith over fear, it all matters, and it's all adding up. You may not see it yet, but something is shifting, something is breaking, something is building behind the scenes. Let me be clear. Quitting is not the same as resting. Rest if you must. Catch your breath, gather your strength, but don't you quit. Don't you walk away from what you were called to do. You didn't come this far to stop now. You didn't survive all that just to give up when you're close to the promise. Don't let fatigue talk you out of your future.